What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and welcome Xavier, Michael Campbell, and Heather Barish to come up and join us now.
Well, I guess we should introduce ourselves. I'm Heather Barrett. I work with CBC. I'm a radio host and producer. I do weekend AM on Saturday and Sunday mornings, 88.5, 640 AM, cbc.ca/NL. But anyway, and Xavier, my co-writer, I guess.
I am Xavier Michael Campbell. I am a fiction writer, primarily. I guess I'm a writer. I'm just a writer based in St. John's, Newfoundland, originally from Jamaica. I've been in Newfoundland, over a decade, and as a lot of people who live in Newfoundland, we wear a lot of different hats. And one of my new hats is that I've started telling stories about Newfoundland and Labrador because I love it so much.
And we have written this book together called Black Harbor, and we have a little presentation. So I'll hand it over to you, Xavier.
So we're just going to start by introducing ourselves a little bit, and we're just going to do a brief reading because how often do you get to introduce yourself from someone you've written? So we'll just use that. In my first year in Newfoundland, an elderly sailor handed me a photograph of the Blue Mountains in Jamaica. He had been on board the MV Placentia, a Newfoundland vessel, after it had made a saltfish delivery to Jamaica in 1948. He regaled me with his sea travels and the joy he felt sailing into Kingston Harbor to deliver fish. The excitement of the locals, some of whom would swim out to meet them, while others waited excitedly to help unload, all for salt fish. This was when I learned that cod had linked Jamaica and Newfoundland for centuries before Newfoundland joined Canada. In my years in Jamaica, I never wondered where the dried, emaciated slices of paper-thin fish originated. But now I lived in the place it came from. The cod in the water surrounding my new home was the cod that my grandmother grew up eating. The same cod from the same place also fed my enslaved ancestors. I would not have guessed that my new home in Newfoundland, Canada, so far in the North Atlantic Ocean, with its mostly Irish, English, and French heritage, would have anything to do with the transatlantic slave trade, or that I, a Black man, might have any connection to this island before I arrived. Before I stepped off the plane in St. John's, I was warned not to expect to see anyone who looked like me. It was 2008, and the lore of there being no Black people in Newfoundland was alive and thriving, even though that was not the case. I landed, and as the new day dawned, I saw faces like mine crossing the campus of Memorial University. My interest was piqued more when I first had Screech and realized it was a version of the rum that I had grown up tasting in fruitcake, in the punch at celebrations, and in the kick in the sorrel. It tasted different, but also the same. Jamaican rum was entrenched in the culture of this place, and they baptized me in this liquid as if it were indigenous to them. I sat on these feelings for over a decade as I settled into my new life. I did multiple political science degrees, and still nothing told me, and no institution or person really, what had happened between these two islands. Thank you.
Now, as for how I came about this, I've written about it as well. This all started on a July afternoon at my day job as a radio host and producer. I was recording an audio interview with Ngozi Paul, a Black Canadian actor and creator, who was discussing the new Canadian holiday on August 1st, Emancipation Day. Emancipation Day marks the day in 1834 that the Slavery Abolition Act came into effect across the British Empire, which abolished the enslavement of Black and Indigenous people. Paul said, wherever there was colonization, there was slavery. Wait a minute. Newfoundland was a British colony until 1949, the year it joined Canada. European colonizers had come to Newfoundland and the southern Labrador shores to fish our waters for cod since about 1500. Did that mean enslaved Black people came to Newfoundland and Labrador? Did that mean Newfoundland and Labrador was at least partially built on the labor of enslaved Black people? Did that mean that the history I was taught all my life, in school, in our folklore, in our songs and our tales, left out a major part of Newfoundland and Labrador's history? I started asking questions. The answer to all of the above is yes. When I was growing up in St. John's in the 1970s and 1980s, no Black people were present in our history books about Newfoundland and Labrador and about Canada. The only Black person I'd ever seen in person was Richard, a high school classmate. For me and almost everyone I knew, Black people, their history and their culture were seen in American television shows or heard in American music. The Newfoundland and Labrador I was born and raised in was a sea of white. So that's where I came from. And for any of you who were born and raised in this province like I was, I'm thinking maybe some of you had a similar experience.
But then I guess based on that experience and both of our experiences and of our questions and our curiosities and the overall curiosity that we were both interested in this topic at the same time doing this research. And our story begins when, the discovery of WH was made in Lansalip, Labrador in 1987. Just a normal day, one day, and then another moment. The remains of what once was buried person juts out of the ground, startles everyone, I'm assuming, who comes up on it. And after testing, scholars from Memorial University went and they did testing, they explored, and we realized it was that of a Black man. It was the remains of a Black person in this southern coastal sleepy Labrador town. And it was like, the birth of the story of Newfoundland Black history, really, for us, of how and why.
And the remains of WH actually still are stored at the rooms in St. John's right now. They're in a drawer stored at the rooms. This is his uniform. WH was actually quite well preserved, and Xavier and I had the opportunity to go to a special room and view his uniform and his personal effects. And the jacket and the pants are made out of wool. They're still very intact. They're small, but it looks like you could just put them on right now. And you can see there's a shoe. And the reason he's called WH is on that knife handle to the left of the pants are the initials carved WH. And that's all we know about him.
And we have other people, like Bushra Junaid has written a book about him. We are expressed a lot of interest. People from outside of Newfoundland are super interested in WH and finding out about him. But as of now, what we really have is his initials, his remains, which, as Heather said, we looked at them, but seeing them in person and you see how well put together they are, the clothes are, and we spoke to 8th graders, and some of them are the same size of WH, and because it's so well preserved, you can actually imagine the life that once filled these clothes that were walking. So it feels like this history, we know that he's about over 200 years old, his remains, but it feels, because of the urgency that we are feeling towards his now and this connection that feels so recent, it feels like, he could have been living yesterday, and we just want to know more about him, so.
And in 1987, for sure, he would definitely have been outside the narrative of who would have been in Newfoundland and Labrador over the centuries. It would be like someone from another planet being dropped in Lansalip.
Especially.
Yeah.
There.
And of course, the reason why anyone ever came here was the cod. We know that. We know that Europeans came here starting from about 1500 onwards. Huge abundant stocks of cod, a great food source. It's a cod is like the indestructible protein that went around the world.
The cheap protein that managed to connect to the world, but also do so much. There was also so much negative associated.
Yeah. And of course, why it was so good, you could dry it, you could salt it. In the days before refrigeration, it was easily transportable. So one thing that we have noticed is that everywhere around the rim of the Atlantic Ocean, there is evidence of salt cod. Newfoundlanders tend to look inwards and think we're really special and we love cod and we love salt cod like no one else in the world. That's not true.
Yeah, no.
Lots of people love salt cod.
It made its way around the globe. It was one of the major things that were traded around the globe. We think of the triangular trade, but through our research and as we've sat with this, you realize it's not so much. There are triangles within this trade, but it's like a circle. It circumnavigates, and that circle of transportation, a lot was getting brought back and forth. We have people, we have other goods, and we have ideas. CODS was one of the goods. Human resources was one of the goods. But we see, and like Heather said, everywhere around that, the circumnavigation, everywhere that was touched along the Atlantic, people tend to eat cod.
And of course, part of what, when Xavier talked about human resources, he was talking about enslaved Black people from Africa who were brought across the Atlantic. I don't know how, millions? Millions, yeah. And that's a journey known as the Middle Passage. Many people did not survive that. The ship sank, there was disease, there were accidents. So it's a horrific part of that. But as we said, as everything circulated around the Atlantic, so did people.
And this is usually it was the age of sail. This is how it was done. Ships, giant, massive ships were used to connect people, but also were used to separate people, to separate families, but to also make the world a lot smaller. And, in our research, I definitely used to think of Newfoundland as this isolated northern Atlantic cold place. I mean, it's still a lot of those things, but also, back then, especially like hundreds of years ago, Newfoundland and all the ports that are connected to this island, it made it such an international place, such a mecca. Like, you think of all the different cultures and the different people and the different ideas that came through all the ports across the island. It's actually mind-boggling. So, yeah.
And actually, this is a still I took from the 1957 film Moby Dick. And the reason I took it is because it actually depicts what a crew of a ship in the 1500s or 1600s or 1700s looked like. When I was speaking to Professor Neil Kennedy at Memorial University, who's a maritime history expert, he told me that on any ship from one of the big European colonizers, and we're talking Britain, France, Spain, Portugal, one of those countries, up to 1 in 5 crew members aboard that ship would have been a Black African. So it was an incredibly diverse population that actually were working, whether of their own free will or not, aboard ships, and as a result moved across the Atlantic. And it was extremely dangerous work. Not many people wanted to do it. People died a lot on it. The mortality and accident rate was huge. So when you hear it was only prisoners went across the Atlantic, there was a good reason, because it was really the most desperate. So there was a human resources issue.
It was a huge human
Yeah.
resource issue, and finding people to do that work and to do that work willingly, season after season, was very hard. In our research, we talk about Black seafarers who come from the Caribbean and who excel at the fishery and who can do this work. So we know that there were Black people who were very capable of, manning these ships and getting the job done and traveling across the Atlantic back and forth. And yeah, we realized that, it was a lot more common than we thought.
They were extremely good at the fishery. And we actually went down to the colony of Avalon at Ferryland and had a fascinating day with Barry Galton, the chief archaeologist down there. And this is the foundation of Baltimore's mansion, Lord Baltimore. And it would have been the fanciest, largest house at the time, at the colony of Avalon, the 1620s, would have been a state-of-the-art colony for anywhere in the British Empire.
And we know it took he showed up. When Baltimore shows up, he shows up to all this work being done by so many people, so many hardworking people to try and simulate this European village. There's all the rocks that, the wood that needed to be cut, the rocks that were excavated, the logistics of just doing it and making it, because, it was so much more than this structure. The structure in itself is quite impressive for 1620, but what we saw and what was excavated was so much more. And to think of, he was a lord, and he had invested in the East India Trading Company, and he had this history, and he's coming over. So he's a different class to all the other people that had to make the society happen. And so Barry says there's a lot you can tell by people's trash, and really, as down at the colony in their workspace. It's actually phenomenal of how much they've pieced together and how many fragments of our history they've managed to combine to tell a broader story of like what we thought of Newfoundland. And that's where you, in the trash of the past, you really see how many different people are there and how international Newfoundland was. There's stuff from all over the world there.
And I guess what we're also saying is that people of high status, like Lord Baltimore and the other merchants and sort of leading people of that community, would have all had enslaved Black people as domestic workers. And we actually know that that is the case.
Yes. So we have here John Bender's will. John Bender died in the 1790s, and it's his will, therefore, is written in Old English. And this is like, one of the obstacles to finding a lot of this information is not a lot of people speak Old English. Not a lot of people, like all of us, can translate Portuguese or like whatever is in universities in America that's handwritten that you need to be digitized and then sent to you. So but luckily enough, we have Barry Galton, who was able to translate John Bender's will, and in this will he talks about his family of enslaved people that he had in Fairyland, and upon his death he gives very clear instructions about how the children of this family should be, how their lives should go, and how the parents also, like what the remainder of their lives should be like. So we see this mentality of it's not just that were there people here, but the idea of separating Black families and the idea of slavery and indentured laborship is like very strong.
We have the receipts.
Yeah.
Right. And what's interesting is that as historians and researchers are digging more and looking in the places that we know now to look for, more names of enslaved Black people are surfacing now. Okay, so that was like an enslaved domestic people. Okay, another way that
Newfoundland is involved. We had mentioned the ships that connected the world and also at the same time seemed to disconnect people. There were ships that were built in Newfoundland that were eventually used in the transatlantic slave trade. There is a wonderful website, a slave voyage database, where you can go and all of this information is available. And it was really just shocking for me to see, as I love Newfoundland so much, and oral culture is so important here, and I love going around the bay, and there's like the stories that are told and reiterated that you would think if these giant big ships, I think we found like 22, and some of them are quite large, so you think of the involvement that it took to make these large vessels and then to sail them across the Atlantic. And just to find out this way, kind of, and not through oral folklore, was kind of alarming for me.
Mm-hmm. There's an incredible researcher, an academic, and an artist named Camille Turner, who's based in Toronto, who's done some incredible work on tracing ships that were built in Newfoundland and used to transport enslaved Africans. And I urge you to check out her work. She was here for the Bonavista Biennale a few years ago, and she comes back every now and then. And again, she also loves Newfoundland, but she's also, as she says, we're all awash in it. Yeah. Even if we think, well, wouldn't have been my family, it is still part of our history.
And yeah, I'm Jamaican, so also I guess I said that. But I mentioned, the sailor from the Placentia talking about ships in 1940s, and then also to do this research and to see the hundreds years of history of ships built in Newfoundland that were eventually taken to Jamaica, even to drop fish off or to drop people off. There is this like deep connection between these two islands, and it's just another way that this is present, and just wanted to like make it known, make it clear.
Okay, now we're getting to food. And Xavier and I bond over food. We both love to bake. Turns out that we, even from our childhoods, I had quite a traditional Newfoundland childhood. Xavier had quite a traditional Jamaican childhood. We both had grandmothers who loved eating molasses on bread. And we both had salt cod. Now this a mark of the grades of different kinds of salt cod that Kevin Toot passed on to us. And Kevin does these incredible walking tours of Trinity in the summer, Trinity Historical Walking Tours. And he's an expert maker of salt cod himself. But his father was a small boat fisherman, and his father used to sell salt cod to local purveyors here. If you look at the different grades, there's choice, standard, and cullage. Cullage was also known as Jamaica grade fish. And what was Jamaica grade fish?
The thin, emaciated, like the paper thin fish that I described, which I thought, growing up was just saltfish. I would not believe that, there were different kinds of fish because I remember like going to the shop to buy fish and it's always the same thin, you wouldn't look at it and call it fish. It would take so much soaking and so much rehydration and then seasoning and like a miracle for it to turn into something tasty. And then, I moved here and like, I think I lived beside Halliday's and I went to Halliday's and I bought saltfish and it was like very juicy and it was like this, I could see the salt. It hadn't completely seeped into the fish. And it was just like, oh, there are different kinds of saltfish that one can eat. And, sitting on those feelings and then learning about this is learning that, the deep roots of colonialism and what was set in place so many hundreds of years ago, even though, my grandparents were alive before the moratorium, I grew up after the moratorium, but the quality of fish that certain islands and certain places are still receiving is still the same.
Okay, and that's our traditional fish and brews. And that would be what Xavier, you grew up eating.
So yeah, definitely. I guess because the quality was just so not great, we really had to zhuzh it up. So there's ackee and saltfish, and another testament, ackee was brought over by enslaved Africans in the 1600s to Jamaica. And when we gained our independence in the 1960s, salt cod was still such a prominent food in our culture. And it's just staple to the diet of all Jamaicans that it's like a part of our national dish. So, I grew up with this love and this pride and adoration of like salt fish, not knowing that, it was probably the worst kind of saltfish I could be eating.
And I guess we should back up to say that the lowest grade of salt cod was sent to the Caribbean to feed enslaved people in the 16, 17, and early 1800s because it was the cheapest form of protein you could get to fuel bodies to do the work. So, snowballs.
Yes.
Coconut.
I know another disconnect is, coming to Newfoundland and also realizing there's so many things that, we'll be talking about them when we talk about them. But the coconut was another thing I was really surprised to find here as a mainstay in the culture, to be talking to people with like family recipes of over 100 years of coconut. And I'm like, how? But there's no thought of the fruit itself, the fruit in all of its forms, the fruit when it's young, like what you can get outside of it, it's just this like the super white, dried, sweetened version of the coconut. And that is really what people here in Newfoundland engage with. And to think of, like hundreds of years ago, like how did it get here, and why did it get here and who brought it here and how did these ideas cross paths? And so just us thinking to deeply investigate some of the things in our culture that we probably took for granted.
Same way with rum. Originally, again, made by enslaved Black people in Jamaica, in early centuries, and then also very much part of your culture and my culture because it was a big trading thing. We brought down the salt cod, came back with rum and molasses and coconut for baking. There's the molasses.
So you think of molasses as, this cheap food source, but through our research, we realized that it's not that cheap. The human cost associated with the production of molasses, with the production of any quantity of molasses and any derivative of sugar, there were so many peoples ripped apart from their families to ensure that this happened, to ensure that, Newfoundlanders could go to a wharf and, turn a puncheon and get a bucket full of molasses and make lassi buns and have that for hundreds of years and have that comfort and that disconnect of not associating the high human cost that is associated with, actually making it and getting it here.
So that got us to conclude that sometimes the picture of Newfoundland and Labrador that I'm saying we as a collective community export to the world. I'm thinking of all the award-winning Newfoundland tourism ads where you've got scenes like this, lovely little redheaded girls running along a cliff, like Irish descendant, adults. That's not, it's part of the picture of what Newfoundland and Labrador is, but it's by far not the entire picture.
Exactly. And with our work here and exactly highlighting the work of all the people like Bushra and Camille and
Yeah.
Afua and
Fabulous
all of them is just to help tell a wider, a more vivid story of Newfoundland, of what Newfoundland may have been hundreds of years ago, what Newfoundland is now, and just, I guess, to all the people, all the newcomers, to show them that, Newfoundland, the image of Newfoundland that you probably came into seeing and might not feeling as grounded, to show that there is another Newfoundland out there. There are people doing that work to show different sides of Newfoundland, to paint a brighter, a more full picture, a more truthful picture of the province.
And for me, it just makes it a richer, more interesting place to be, a more complex place to be. And it just gives me a wider sense of, who really is a Newfoundlander or Labradorian and how people belong.
Yeah. And it doesn't affect the history of Newfoundland. The Newfoundland, we think it should only be added to diversify the history that we've been telling all along, because the strong Newfoundland history of the Irish and the French and the English, those histories are still true. So we just have more information now to tell more stories, to talk about more people.
And there's more.
And there were more people
Yeah.
to consider as well.
And that's it. We are not trying to cancel molasses.
Yeah, or screech-ins or anything you hold dear, because we found that people really, as we link it to the present and the things that we continue to do, like drink screech and eat molasses and bake and eat fish, that's when it gets tricky. But it's we can sit with these uncomfortable feelings, the bittersweet, have more conversations like these, challenge your elders at dinner, just make people a little uncomfortable. But tell the stories, tell your stories.
We could take a couple questions if anyone's interested.
All right, we have a question over here.
It's an important one. Where can we find your book?
Oh, it's published by Boulder Books, so on their website, but also at Coles and Chapters. Piper's Down Home distributes it. We saw it at Piper's on Elizabeth Avenue. We were thrilled.
Downtown Comics also has it.
Yeah, so anywhere you find books, but definitely the Boulder Books website. What's that?
And on Amazon.
Amazon as well. Ooh.
Okay, and the travel bug. Support local.
Yeah.
Stock, I just looked it up.
And we're storytellers and raconteurs. We were really trying to highlight the work of the people who are doing the deep investigation into this and coming up with all this new research and discovery. So we're kind of I guess a surrogate for all of you who are curious.
Hello. You just described my most of my good memories of my childhood. My father grew up in Hodges Cove in Trinity Bay. So everything you're describing, that's how I grew up, visiting Anne. But my great-great-grandfather was a schooner builder. And so he built schooners, sailed back and forth. So probably some of the ships that were used, well, actually it had to be some of the ships that were used to transport the goods that you guys are talking about. So can't wait to read the book.
It's fascinating. And once you see the connections, it's hard to unsee them. You just can't. You just realize how much closer connected we are than we think.
Absolutely, yeah. I think, it makes us all really more tied together as a people. Think about molasses being sticky, and it really is sticky. We're bound to each other. It's been centuries, and there's no shaking it. So might as well just start digging deeper and embracing some of those connections.
We do have another question over here, I guess on your right.
Hi, my name is Angie. I'm wondering, is your book available in audio format as well and through the library?
It is available through the library. It is not an audiobook at this point, but that's certainly,
Ebook.
it's an ebook, but not an audiobook. So I guess we can certainly talk to our publisher about that.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people who would be really interested into it, but the majority that I'm thinking of right now who would really enjoy it is a lot of the seniors, and reading is not always your, as you get older, cataracts and all those fun things. Yeah, it makes reading a book a lot more difficult than people expect. So yeah, audio is definitely a way to go if you can get it done.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
We had some very interesting conversations with older people when we've been at signings, actually. It's some people got some interesting Christmas reading, shall we say.
It's very worth it. So yeah, don't give anybody a heart attack, but please, yeah, definitely talk about it with the older people in your lives who, the ones who are the connoisseurs of Newfoundland history, because it's usually those people who are like, "Is this fiction?" Like, you're like, "No, it's this stuff actually kind of happened here. Let's talk about it." Yeah.
Hi there again. This is Jonathan. Thank you so much. That was such a wonderful presentation of the summary of, and the comments also about getting those connections of Newfoundland. I'm definitely looking forward to reading the book. I have one comment, one question. I just had to figure out the Google name. I'm just not sure if you're aware or not. I recently had our first Black deaf person hired as a PhD professor in Canada. Janelle Rosin Rusi, sorry, I was interpreter enunciation. And so they are a PhD. So it's a professor here. And so it's a great first step for Newfoundland in Toronto. With related to, the audio book that was just mentioned, just wondering if it could be translated into American Sign Language as well to support the deaf and Black history and peoples of Newfoundland and Labrador.
We could certainly talk to our
Definitely
publisher.
talk to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, thank you for
Yeah.
raising it.
Absolutely. Thank you for making us think about it. Definitely the more accessible this information is to a wider audience, which is absolutely what we want. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Any more questions? Yes.
Yeah, thank you. This is the second time I've heard you both speak, and it's so fascinating and so great and such important part of Newfoundland history. And I'm just wondering, like, if you have any comments about the role of schools and educators in including this as part of the curriculum, and what it will mean for people who are going through the school system, and what it will mean for the work of anti-racism and EDI as we are sitting here today.
We love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
At like 125 million%. I know that the children are the future. Education is the way forward. Like all of these things are true. We had the really great opportunity of speaking to three different class of eighth graders. And their teacher was saying they're a lot more, even though it was 8 a.m, she was like, they're a lot more engaged and interested in this topic as if we're other than going through the social studies book. So just seeing people start to take this thing as something that the next generation of Newfoundlanders should be aware of and should care about, we think that's so important. So
And what was great for me was that the class we were speaking to was certainly an awful lot more diverse than a grade 8 class I was sitting in. So it felt like we could give like an enhanced kind of look at Newfoundland and Labrador history that really included everybody in the room.
It was a lot more inclusive, and definitely probably resonated more with those young people. And, you know, we have the chance of talking to other students who aren't just in 8th grade. So it really is definitely educators, I think, taking this interest in, you know, reaching out or even just talking about it themselves, I think is definitely very important.
Mm-hmm.
All right, David.
Hi, on your right, I guess. Thanks so much for your talk. I really appreciate it. And I remember when some of the news articles came out featuring your work, I was able to share this with some of the students I work with at Memorial, the international ones who are getting completely acclimatized to the climate, the culture, so on and so forth. I was wondering what your thoughts are surrounding this topic and the concept of cultural appropriation. Do you feel that some of the, you know, food items that are advertised as being very Newfoundlander, for example, have they been inappropriately kind of claimed by the province and its heritage? Have you had difficulty discussing this with others? Yeah, what are your thoughts in general about that?
Oh, it's a heavy one. I think really people don't know what they don't know on a certain level. And I know there are certain roads that people don't want to go down either. I mean, there is a concept that Professor Afua Cooper told us about called the Great Forgetting, and that white historians really don't want to think too much about connections to enslaved people when it comes to building societies and things. I think going forward, we should think about more about those connections.
Yeah, I think I definitely, to piggyback off of what Heather is saying, a part of this forgetting and like this erasure of these Black stories and the contribution that Black people have had to Newfoundland and Labrador development and the history and the culture over the years. Because, you know, it's inarguably to say that rum and screech and those things came from Black people was brought here and became a part of this culture. But without, like Heather said, without connecting those dots of the people who made this and the culture and the climate and the temperature and the social environments that this was created in, and the only way for it to exist were for these things to have happened and for it to be brought here. With that erasure of the ingredient to the process and the people who created it, I wouldn't call it cultural appropriation, but it is that great forgetting. But like Heather said, now going forward and now understanding that these things have been a part of Newfoundland culture for hundreds of years, there is that responsibility in knowing and in being aware of what has happened and how many lives have been forgotten in the process and over the centuries. So, yeah.
And I think it's also worthwhile noticing too that, you know, there were many people who lived in Newfoundland and Labrador over the centuries that had very difficult lives that were exploited in many different kinds of ways. Like, it is possible to be part of a huge economic and social system that in which you are an exploited person, but in turn exploits others. So it's not a binary system, like it's a very complex system of individuals in various stations in life.
All right, I think we're good for questions, are we? Oh, there's one more, yes?
Just wondering if this has been shared to anybody, like, is there knowledge of this in Jamaica, the connection with Newfoundland?
There's like a couple of like not a book. I know book has been written, unfortunately. Well, I guess this is the book. But in Jamaica, I don't know. Like, I think like what we know growing up, there's been other Newfoundlanders, other Jamaican Newfoundlanders who've there's like a couple media projects, like a little short film that has talked about cod and Newfoundland. But again, it hasn't delved into the people and the people that have connected these places. It has looked at just the cod usually because, you know, we follow the cod and it's always the cod that's linking both places. And, you know, no one can believe that it's the same saltfish that's here and there. And it has, yeah, so that history has been mostly told by Jamaicans who have come to Newfoundland or have somehow engaged with Newfoundland in some way and then like produce some kind of artwork about it. But there's like a couple, I don't know how widespread amongst Jamaicans it is, but hopefully it will become a little bit more since there's like a book now you can point to.
Well, you did grow up watching NTV.
So they know something about Newfoundland, but again, as like a mediated, such a distant version of NTV where it's like the reality is so much better than what. I mean, the reality is colder and it is wetter and it is snowier than they show you on NTV, especially in scenes of Newfoundland. But it did its job. It brought me here.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let's give it up for him again now. Thank you for joining us, guys. And if you have any questions or would like more information, send us an email to diversity@ancnl.ca. Thank you, guys. That was awesome. As we mingle, I would like to introduce the wonderful Baraka Abayo to provide musical entertainment. From his home base of St. John's, Newfoundland, Baraka is a soulful singer-songwriter whose sound and spirit are sure to tug on the heartstrings of everyone who hears him sing. Hello? It's okay. Originally hailing from the coastal city of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, Baraka has been performing and writing music since he was 14 years old. Drawing influences from artists such as Ed Sheeran, John Mayer, and Tracy Chapman, he has a natural talent for writing clever lyrics and infectious melodies. So yeah, please feel free to get up and refill your teas and your coffees and enjoy Baraka's singing. Thank you.
All right. Looks like we're good to go. Thank you so much for having me here today. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. My name is Baraka. I'm a singer-songwriter. And thank you for all the good energy. Thank you for the lessons and everything. I'm going to be playing some songs here. I'll start with a little cover that I really love to play. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I got my eyes on you. You're everything that I see. I want your love and emotion. Endlessly, I can't get over you. You left your mark on me. I want your love and emotion. Endlessly, you're a good girl and you know it. You act so different around me, baby. You're a good girl, and you know it, baby. I know exactly who you could be, yeah. So just hold on, go it all. Just hold on, go it all. It's hard to do these things alone. Oh, just hold on, let go it all. Yeah. You're the girl, you're the one. Gave you everything I love, yeah. Think there's something. Oh, baby, think there's something, yeah. You're the girl, you're the one. Gave you everything I love, yeah. Think there's something. Oh, baby, think there's something, yeah. Oh, yeah. Baby, I just don't get it. Do you enjoy being hurt? And I know you smell the perfume, see the makeup on his shirt. You don't believe the stories, you know that they're all lies. Bad as you watch, stick around, and I just don't know why. If I was your man, baby, you never worry about what I do. I'm coming home back to you every night, doing you right. You're the type of woman deserves good things. I'm full of diamonds, a fist full of rings. If you a star, I just want to show you you are. You should let me love you. Let me be the one to give you everything you want and need. And baby, good love and protection. Make me your selection. Show you the way love's supposed to be, yeah. You're a good girl and you know it. You act so different around me, baby, baby. You're a good girl and you know it, baby. I know exactly who you could be, baby. So just hold on, go it on. Hold on, go it on. It's hard to do these things alone, yeah. Oh, just hold on, we're going home. Oh, yeah. Oh, just hold on, we're going home. Oh, 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 oh. Thank you so much. I will be there, okay. I can do that. I'm trying to have a little fun with this. Hopefully the loop works as intended. You don't get out your room anymore. You don't pick up your phone. You broke before you fell to the floor. You're hurting and I know. No, you've got to move this big boulder. They'll gas you out sometimes. Rest your head on my rugged shoulder and put your arm in mine. 'Cause I will be there in your darkest hour. I will be there when you're crashing down. Oh, I will be there. I will give you power. Oh, I will be there. Darling, I will be there. You're fighting with yourself in your head. You don't know how to wait, my darling. When you fail to get out of your own bed, yeah, you're struggling. I believe in love and true healing. They will always come around in time. As your friend, I'll help you in dealing with whatever breaks your ground. 'Cause I will be there in your darkest hour. Oh, I will be there when you're crashing down. Oh, I will be there. I will give you power. Oh, I will be there. Darling, I will be there. 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 In your darkest hour, oh, I will be there. When you're crashing down, oh, I will be there. I will give you power. Oh, I will be there. Darling, I will be there. Oh, I will be there. In your darkest days and nights. Oh, I will be there. When you're crashing down, oh, I will be there. I will give you power. Oh, I will be there. Darling, I will be there. Yeah. Your darkest hour, I will be there. When you're crashing down, I will be there. I will give you all the power. I will be there. Oh, I will be there. Oh, I will be there. In your darkest days and hours, I will be there. When you're crashing down, I will be there. I will give you power, power, power. Oh, I will be there. Darling, I will be there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Oh, man. Yeah, that song is called I Will Be There. It's like one of, I don't know, one of two songs I've written that's not about a girl. Because anytime you see any guy playing guitar, there's a girl involved somewhere along the way. So that one was for me. I wrote it at the time I was going through a bit of a dark period, and I kind of forgot to do those little kind things for myself, right? The walks in the park, the extra glass of water in the day. It's the baby steps that really matter, and that's truly the way to be there for yourself. Progress isn't made in like one day. True progress is made every day, a little bit at a time. And you can find that song and many others on my Spotify, Apple Music. My name is Baraka. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having these important conversations. And I will move on to the next song here. This one is unreleased, and it's going to be on my next project. It's a song called Like I Do. And I went through a relationship once. I know, girls, right? And I really felt like I wasn't heard or seen. And it got me thinking about empathy a lot. And really being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes in any given situation. And I think as a community, as human beings, we would all benefit from that. And so this here is called Like I Do, and I hope you like it.
the way I do. I do the way I do. The way I do. Like I do the way I do. The way I do. Like I do the way I do. The way I do. Like I do the way I do. I remember all the ways you said I love you. And I think about the days we spent forever together. And I know right now you don't wanna care too much. You don't wanna feel my touch. You've done everything and more. Building with a broken heart, baby. You wanna do you, nobody fool you. Go renew you, be the true you, yeah. But tell me, the way I do, like I do, the way do you hurt like I do, the way I do, like I do, the way do you want it like I do, yeah. Do you feel the way I do, the way I do, like I do, the way I do. So what can I say to you if you don't pick up the phone? How can I make it up to you if you'd rather be alone? I don't know if you wanna see me, if you need me, if you hear me, would you believe me, baby? Oh, yeah. I remember every time we wasn't ready. We was pushing every line, yelling time and time again, again, again. So you're out in town, say you never feel too rushed, say I never earned your trust, but you're running back for more. Meet me with an open door, nah, you wanna do you, nobody fool you, go renew you, be you true you, yeah. Tell me, the way I do, like I do, the way do you hurt like I do, the way I do, like I do, the way do you want it like I do, yeah. Do you feel the way I do? Baby, what can I say to you if you don't pick up the phone? How can I make it up to you if you'd rather be alone? Don't know if you wanna see me, if you need me, if you hear me, would you believe me, baby? Oh, the way I do, oh, like I do, the way I do. I do the way I do, oh, like I do the way I do. I do the way I do, the way I do. Like I do the way I do, oh, like I do the way I do. I do the way I, the way I, the way I do. Like I do the way I do, the way I do. Like I do the way I do, the way I do, yeah. Like I do the way I do. The way I do, the way I do, like I do, the way I do, oh yeah. Yeah. Would you take me as I am? Would you do it if you can? Or is this the final stand?
Thank you so much. Oh, wonderful. So fun. Thank you so much, Steve. I got a couple more minutes here to do a couple songs. Thank you so much once again for having me here today for this wonderful event. And I'm going to keep going here and play an original song that I wrote. It's called The Longest Night of My Life. And the story behind it is that I was going through a breakup once. And every day just felt like a long night. And that was the only thought that I had in my head. And I'm like, man, I'm going to write a song titled just that. So I started writing because it was the only way that I knew how to get my feelings out. And this is what happened. Hope you like it.
past. I'm a silhouette, I don't know it. I'm walking over broken glass, crying over photographs, broken friends and broken dreams. 'Cause every day without you is the longest night of my life. Yeah. Sorry that I hurt you. Girl, I know I shouldn't lie. I know I'll try. Yeah. Yeah. I wanna try. I wanna try. Yeah. Yeah. She said, walk away, broken boy. I never knew I needed time from you. And I said, yeah, I know you were right. I was wrong, I won't fight you. No, baby. It's everything about you was the happiest part of my life. Yeah. I cannot be without you, baby. Oh, so baby, you know I had to try to get you back, baby. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I wanna try. I wanna try. Yeah. Ooh. I wanna try. I wanna try. Yeah. I wanna try. I wanna try. Yeah. No. One more shot. Baby, give me one more shot. I wanna try for you. I wanna try for you. Give me one more shot. Baby, give me one more shot. Yeah, I wanna try for you. I wanna try. I wanna try. Yeah. I wanna try. I wanna try. Yeah. Thank you so much. Cool. So there is this Post Malone song that just came to mind here. I'm going to try to improvise it as best as I can. This is how this number goes, and I hope you're having a fantastic Thursday afternoon. I know I am, anytime I'm playing music, so thank you so much for having me. Thank you for your ears and your hearts, and for listening, and for having these conversations. And here's a song. till we were upside down. I'll be the bad guy now. No, I ain't too proud. I couldn't be there, even when I tried. You don't believe it. We do this every time. Seasons change and our love went cold. See the flame, cause we can't let it burn. Run away, cause we're running in circles. Run away, run away. I dare you to do something. I'm waiting on you again. So I don't take the blame. Run away, cause we're running in circles. Run away. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. Yeah, with somebody who loves me. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves me. Seasons change and our love won't call it. Feed the flame cause we can't let it burn. Run away, but we're running in circles. Run away, run away. I dare you to do something. Waiting on you again. So I don't take the blame. Run away, cause I'm running in circles. Run away. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Oh, yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves me. Seasons change and I love one soul. Be the flame, but we don't let it burn. Run away, but we're running in circles. Run away, run away. I dare you to do something. Waiting on you again. So I don't take the blame. Run away, cause we're running in circles. Run away. Run away, cause we're running in circles. Run away. I dare you to do something. I'm waiting on you again. So I don't take the blame. Run away, cause we're running in circles. Yeah. Run away, run away, run away. Run away, but we're running in circles. Run away, run away, run away. Thank you so much, everybody. My name is Baraka. Hope you have a fantastic afternoon. Thank you for having me. God bless you all. And I'll be seeing y'all wherever I see y'all. I'm always around. Thank you, Rachel, for everything. Thank you all for your ears and your hearts. And have a fantastic Thursday.
Ooh, thank you for joining us today, Baraka.